respite for P. Chidambaram from the Supreme Court. The Enforcement Directorate issues lookout notice, asks Chidambaram to appear before it in INX media case. After primary schools, middle schools reopen in Kashmir, daytime restrictions lifted and landlines functional in most of the areas. One Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist killed in an encounter with Bara-ul-Mullah in Kashmir. One JNK security personnel martyred and one injured in the encounter. Major cabinet reshuffle in Uttar Pradesh. 23 MLAs take oath as ministers in government, 6 as cabinet ministers. This is the first cabinet reshuffle of the present government. India and Zambia signed 6 agreements, including in defence, mining and health sectors. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls Zambia a trusted partner and friend. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in Kathmandu to co-chair the 5th meeting of India-Nepal Joint Commission with his Nepalese counterpart. EAM is on a 2-day visit to Nepal. And in sports, Indian men's hockey team hammers New Zealand 5-0 to win Olympic test event. Indian team bounces back from their 1-2 loss against New Zealand with an impressive display. Hello and welcome. You're watching DD India and DD News with me, Manman Bhattacharya. Let's get started with our top story. The news appears to be tightening around former Home Minister P. Chidambaram's neck after the Delhi High Court dismissed his anticipatory bail application in the INX media case. The Supreme Court today said that P. Chidambaram's plea will be put before the Chief Justice of India to consider for urgent listing. Chidambaram's petition seeking protection from arrest was mentioned before a bench comprising Justices N.V. Ramanna, M. Shantana Godar and Ajay Rastogi, who said that the case will be put before the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, who will eventually pass the orders. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, appearing for the ED and CBI, told the bench that it is a case of money laundering of monumental magnitude. Further, P. Chidambaram has submitted in his petition in the Apex Court that the High Court's observation that he was the kingpin in the INX media case was completely baseless and that the FIR was politically motivated and an act of vendetta. In the meanwhile, troubles are mounting for P. Chidambaram. The probe agencies pasted a notice on his residence wall that he has to appear before them within 2 hours at around 2 a.m. The Enforcement Directorate issued a fresh lookout circular against P. Chidambaram. ED officials have said the alert notice against the Congress leader has been sent to all land, air and sea ports and law enforcement agencies at these facilities. It says the ED should be alerted in case the person is found on their premises. It also asked them to not allow the Congress leader to cross the Indian border without permission of the ED. The official said this is a preventive measure exercised by the agency as Chidambaram's whereabouts are not known at present and he is required by them to take the probe forward in the INX media case being investigated under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And here's all the information you need to know about the INX media case. The news is tightening around P. Chidambaram in this case, and here's how. Well, the case is related to FIPB approval granted for INX media, and the search is on for P. Chidambaram in this case now. After the Delhi High Court gave its clearance for it, the approval was granted when P. Chidambaram was Union Finance Minister in 2007. So the case dates back to sometime in May 2007 when illegally approvals were granted at the FIPB to INX Media for foreign investment. INX Media received foreign funding of 307 crore rupees after FIPB approval. FIPB approval was granted against regulations related to foreign investments, and these cases are now being investigated of corruption and money laundering by the CBI and ED. ED and CBI have lodged cases against Chidambaram's son Karti Chidambaram, INX Media's Indrani Mukherjee as well as Peter Mukherjee in 2017. Case takes several twists and turns through probe agencies' actions and court hearings. So there have been several twists and turns. The fresh turn was seen yesterday as well as today. ED attaches Karti Chidambaram's properties worth 54 crore rupees. Remember, Karti Chidambaram was also earlier arrested in this case. He is currently out on bail. On 11 July 2019, watershed moment in case with Indrani Mukherjee turning approver in this case. So Indrani Mukherjee has turned approver, and this could spell more trouble for P. Chidambaram and his son. Indrani and husband Peter Mukherjee co-founded INX Media in 2007. That's when the entire scandal is alleged to have taken place. March 2018, Indrani gave admissible statement to CBI that $1 million a deal was struck for FIPB approval. Deal was struck between Karti and the Mukherjees at P. Chidambaram's behest. So these are details that are now emerging after the investigations began. Damning the Delhi High Court order on 20th August, that is yesterday, rejecting Chidambaram's anticipatory bail pleas, where the court said that prima facie P. Chidambaram was the kingpin in this case. The Delhi High Court Judge Sunil Gaur termed INX Media classic case of money laundering. So some very scathing remarks coming out from the Delhi High Court yesterday. The Delhi High Court said facts of case prima facie reveal petitioner is kingpin or key conspirator. So the news is tightening around P. Chidambaram, who is currently on the run, and ED and CBI are trying to locate him to arrest him for custodial interrogation. The Delhi High Court gave no quarter to Chidambaram for being a sitting MP or member of legal fraternity. The Delhi High Court said that in its judgment and denied request of granting 3 days to file appeal in the Supreme Court. His lawyers had asked for protection for 3 more days from arrest so that he could move the Supreme Court. That too was denied by the Delhi High Court yesterday, which had earlier rejected the anticipatory bail plea. The CBI has booked NDTV promoters Pranoy Roy and his wife Radhika Roy and others in connection with alleged violation of foreign direct investment rules. The agency has also booked the media outlet's former CEO Vikramaditya Chandra under charges of criminal conspiracy, cheating and corruption. It is alleged that the company floated 32 subsidiaries in several tax haven countries to bring foreign funds to India through sham transactions. So NDTV promoters have been booked by the CBI, and the CEO, who's now the former CEO of NDTV, has also been booked for charges of criminal conspiracy, cheating and corruption. The Yamuna continued to flow well above the danger mark on Wednesday, but the Delhi government officials said the water level was constant at 206.6 meters for several hours and was likely to recede. The river breached the danger mark of 205.33 meters on Monday. Over 15,000 people living in floodplains have been shifted to tents set up by various government agencies due to the river water inundating low-lying areas. That's what officials have said. State officials at the flood department's control room believe that water level has been constant for the past few hours and is expected to recede later on. The train traffic over Old Yamuna Bridge was temporarily suspended on Tuesday night and several trains were diverted to their destinations, said a Northern Railway spokesperson. In 1978, the water in the river rose to its highest ever level of 207.49 meters, causing a devastating flood in the national capital. The river flows through 6 districts of Delhi, whose low-lying areas are prone to flooding. The administration has deployed 30 boats to prevent any accidental drowning. Six memoranda of understanding have been exchanged between India and Zambia in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of Zambia Edgar Chagwa Lungu in the sectors of defence, geology and mineral research. The agreements were reached following wide-ranging talks between the two sides at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. While making a joint press statement with the President of Zambia, PM Modi called Zambia India's trusted partner and friend. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that both countries believe in the same democratic values and the joint ambitions for development connect the two countries.
भारत और जाम्बिया के संबंध जाम्बिया की आजादी से भी पुराने हैं। जाम्बिया भारत का महत्वपूर्ण मित्र और विश्वसनीय पार्टनर है। समान लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों में हमारा विश्वास है और विकास की साझा आकांक्षाओं को हम दोनों देशों को आपस में जोड़ती है। हमारी व्यापक साझेदारी ट्रेड और कॉमर्स, इन्वेस्टमेंट और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से लेकर डेवलपमेंट कोऑपरेशन, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग और मजबूत सांस्कृतिक और जन संबंधों तक फैली है।
Earlier, the President of Zambia, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, was accorded a ceremonial reception in the presence of his Indian counterpart, Ramnath Kovind, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi upon his arrival at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. In Jammu and Kashmir, the situation remained peaceful across the state, especially the Kashmir Valley, where restrictions have been eased in some more areas. Middle schools in the Kashmir Valley reopened today. Earlier, the primary schools in the valley had reopened on Monday. Daytime restrictions have been eased from most of the police stations in Srinagar. Inter-district transportation is also normal, and adequate supplies of essential items and medicines is being provided to people. Barricades were also removed from the commercial centre of Srinagar, Lal Chowk, after a gap of 15 days, and vehicles were allowed to ply. Markets opened and vehicles were plying. Arrangements have been made by the administration to ensure the people are provided with the necessary material. Work has also resumed in government offices. One terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter with security forces in Baramulla and Jammu and Kashmir. On credible input, a cordon and search operation was launched jointly by police and security forces in Ghani Hammam area of district Baramulla on Tuesday evening. During the search operation, the hiding terrorists fired on the search party. The fire was retaliated leading to an encounter. In the exchange of fire, two policemen sustained injuries identified as an SPO Bilal Ahmed and SI Amardeep Parihar. SPO Bilal Ahmed succumbed to the injuries and attained martyrdom, while SI Amardeep Parihar continues to receive treatment at the army hospital. This was the first encounter between security forces and terrorists in Kashmir since 27th July. 23 MLAs have taken oath as ministers in the UP government as Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath expanded his cabinet. Out of the 23, 6 of them are given cabinet ministers rank. This is the first cabinet reshuffle of the present government in UP. Ahead of the cabinet expansion, several senior ministers had resigned to make way for new entrants in the ministry.
विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। श्री राम चौहान ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के मैं आनंद स्वरूप शुक्ल ईश्वर की शपथ व्यक्ति हूँ।
The Ministry of Defence has clarified that it had no plan to privatize the ordnance factories. In a statement, the ministry said that rumours being spread that OFB is being privatized are misguiding and are misleading workers. The clarification came in the wake of a one-month strike called by 3 recognized defence federations, which began yesterday. The federations are demanding immediate withdrawal of the government's corporatization plans, saying it will eventually lead to its privatization. Ordnance Factory Board, however, reasoned that the proposed move is aimed at providing greater flexibility in day-to-day functioning and increasing autonomy in decision-making and enhancing productivity. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that India and Estonia share a bilateral relationship based on common values such as democracy, rule of law, pluralism and freedom. Addressing media persons in Tallinn in Estonia, Vice President said that there are immense opportunities for partnership between the two nations in programs like Digital India and Make in India.
There are immense opportunities for partnership between Estonia and Indian companies in programs such as Digital India, Startup India and Make in India. In this context, I have invited the Estonian government to participate actively in the forthcoming India-Europe 29 Business Forum to be held 20th and 21st November in New Delhi.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is now in Kathmandu and met Prime Minister of Nepal K.P. Sharma Oli. Jaishankar is also co-chairing the 5th meeting of India-Nepal Joint Commission with his Nepalese counterpart Pradeep Kumar Gaiwali in the afternoon. The Joint Commission will discuss the entire gamut of bilateral relations, especially economic partnership, trade and transit, connectivity, power, water resources and inundation. This will be the first high-level visit from India since Prime Minister Narendra Modi started his second term in May this year. SEBI is working on a framework to provide credit rating agencies access to information on loan repayment and possible default from lenders or other institutions. The framework would be inserted as an amended clause in the agreement between an insurer and later to provide explicit consent for access to information related to loans, repayments, delays, etc. from banks and lending institutions. The paper quoted a source as saying. The State Bank of India has announced special offers across loan products ahead of the festive season this year. The largest lender in India is providing several benefits on auto loan, personal loan, home loan and education loan. SBI has waived off the processing fees for auto loans. The interest rate on SBI auto loans starts at 8.7% with no escalation in interest. For personal loans, SBI is offering loans up to 20 lakh rupees at an interest rate of 10.75% and repayment tenure of 6 years. In international news, US President Donald Trump has said that short-term recession might simply be the cost of waging his much-needed trade war with China, as Beijing had been grifting off America for decades. Addressing reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said somebody had to do something with China, while adding that this should have been done by his predecessors. He alleged that China was stealing US intellectual property and ideas.
But somebody had to take China on. China's been ripping this country off for 25 years, for longer than that. And it's about time, whether it's good for our country or bad for our country short term, long term it's imperative that somebody does this. Because our country cannot continue to pay China $500 billion a year because stupid people are running it. So I don't mind this question. Whether it's good or bad short term is irrelevant. We have to solve the problem with China because they're taking out $500 billion a year plus, and that doesn't include intellectual property theft and other things, and also national security.
Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has resigned following a decision by the far-right League Party to present a no-confidence motion in the 14-month-old coalition government. The move on Tuesday leaves Italy in a political vacuum until President Sergio Mattarella decides whether to form a new coalition or call an election after talks with parties in the coming days. Mattarella charged Conte with heading a caretaker administration after he handed in his resignation, pending consultations on a new government which are set to begin today. Addressing Parliament on the turmoil unleashed by the League's move, Conte accused Salvini, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister and Interior Minister, of trying to drag down the coalition for personal and political gain and putting the nation at risk of financial instability. Italy must agree on a budget in the coming months to stave off rising tension with the EU over Rome's management of debts. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo pushed the international community to work out how to stop Iran from being unshackled to create new turmoil when a UN arms embargo on the country and a travel ban on the head of Iran's elite Quds force expire in October 2020. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting on the Middle East peace and security challenges on Tuesday, Pompeo called for greater cooperation in the region to produce fresh thinking to solve old problems, citing problems including the Libyan and Syrian conflicts and a rift between several Gulf states and Qatar. He also singled out Iran. Tensions between Tehran and Washington have risen since U.S. President Donald Trump's administration last year quit an international deal to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions and began to ratchet up sanctions. Pompeo said the U.S. State Department had put a clock on its website that was counting down to the removal of the measures. Saudi Arabia has started implementing its landmark reform on travel restrictions on women. It allows the women to travel abroad without permission from a male guardian. It is a step away from the system of male domination that was deeply rooted in Saudi society. The Passport Department said on Twitter that they are receiving applications for women over aged 21 to issue or renew passports and travel abroad without any male guardian's permission. The reform came after high-profile attempts by women to escape alleged guardianship abuse, despite a string of reforms by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. These reforms were widely celebrated in the kingdom. Brazil's Amazon rainforest witnesses a record number of fires this year. A total number of 72,843 fires were detected so far by Brazil's Space Research Center, INPE. The surge marks an 83% increase in the same period in 2018. Concerns grow with the President Jair Bolsonaro's environmental policy, while the conservationists blamed the president, saying he has encouraged loggers and farmers to clear the land. Smoke from the fires has caused a blackout in the city of Sao Paulo on Monday. However, Brazil's Space Research Center said that the satellite images spotted a total of 9,507 new forest fires in the country since Thursday. Most fires were in the Amazon basin, which is the world's largest tropical forest and seen as vital to countering global warming. Indian men's hockey team is in red-hot form as they blanked New Zealand 5-0 to win the Olympic Test event in Tokyo on Wednesday. The Indian team bounced back from their 1-2 loss against New Zealand with an impressive display in the summit clash at the OE Hockey Stadium. Indian team raced to a 5-0 lead in the first two quarters. Harmanpreet Singh opened the scoring, breaking the deadlock before Shamsher Singh doubled the lead for India. Nilakanta made it 3-0 before Gursahi Jeet and Mandeep Singh completed the rout. India booked their berth in the final by beating Japan 6-3 in the outing on Tuesday. 2 triumphs for the men's hockey team with the FIH series win and the Olympic Test event in Tokyo. Action now shifts to the Olympic qualifiers, which will be the next challenge for the men's team. Following an impressive performance against Australia, the Indian women's hockey team on Tuesday secured its place in the final of the Olympic Test event by playing out a 0-0 draw against China. The Indian team looked in good rhythm during the initial stages of the first quarter and constantly built pressure on the Chinese defense. China needed the victory to make sure that they progressed to the final, but India's defense was up to the task and seemed determined to consolidate their position on the top of the points table. With a tally of 5 points from the 3 matches, India topped the points table and will now face hosts and world number 14 Japan in the final on Wednesday. Steve Smith has been ruled out of the third test after failing to recover from the neck injury he suffered during the Lord's Test, Cricket Australia confirmed via a tweet on Tuesday. Steve Smith was hit on his unprotected neck during the Lord's Test by a bouncer from England fast bowler Jofra Archer. The 30-year-old, who has scored 2 centuries and 92 in his 3 innings in the first 2 tests, suffered concussion after being hit. Steve Smith has been ruled out of the third Ashes Test at Headingley, with coach Justin Langer confirming the news after the batsman sat out Australia's training session on Tuesday. Smith, who fell to the ground, retired hurt after receiving on-field treatment. But after just 46 minutes, Smith returned at the fall of the next wicket before he was LBW. to Chris Wokes for 92. Steve Smith became the first player to be substituted for concussion. He was replaced after Australia's request was approved by match referee Ranjan Madugule. Smith has been in brilliant form in the Ashes 2019, scoring 142, 144 and 92 in his 3 innings so far. In Ladakh, after Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about the apricot fruit in his Mann Ki Baat radio program, apricot growers in Ladakh are hopeful that the government will take initiatives to boost the production of the fruit in the region. Apricot is the most popular and rich fruit plant of the Ladakh region and also the main cash crop. Apricot growing farmers have said that this year they have got a bumper crop and they are all busy in processing their production for sale in the market. With that, I come to the close of this news bulletin. News and updates will continue on DD India and DD News.